This is why nobody comes in here, because there's no road anymore. The road is gone, which is fine by me because it keeps lazy people out of my fishing spot. Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Outlaw Country. Not a super nice day today. It was supposed to be half decent, but Mother Nature had other plans. Oh well, it's just a drizzle, it's not pouring rain. The valley ahead's not looking too great though. Got a very special guest today joining me. My very special guest.
Good morning. This is Outlaw Country.
Mrs. Outlaw Country.
It's kind of wet and miserable.
Kind of wet and miserable, but
oh well.
Make the best of it. Mrs. Outlaw's training for her extreme mountain race. This is what I was afraid of right here, is we're gonna get soaked. Oh well. No sense bitching and complaining about it. Right, honey? Right? What? No sense bitching and complaining about it. There's no way to dress appropriately for this. I'm soaked. No, I'm soaked. They're soaked right through.
Is it going to be like this the whole way?
The entire way.
No.
Yeah. That's why I said, I hope it's not too grown over, but it is. You're already wet, aren't you? Yeah. So you're not going to get any wetter. You're just not going to dry out at all. Packing the Defender with me today because we are in some serious bear country here. I haven't seen a bear yet, but lots of shit. We know they're out. We know they're out. And Mrs. Outlaw's got her bear spray. Have you got that big can of bear spray? Probably doesn't even work anymore, that one. You're just gonna jump behind me if we see one anyways, aren't you? Yeah. Good thing you can run. Good thing I can shoot faster than you can run. So, what happened a few years ago when we were in here? Can you tell everybody? When we went down to the lake.
We heard banging.
We heard a moose banging trees.
We weren't quite sure what it was.
Well, it wasn't.
I think it was a SASQUATCH.
It wasn't a moose, was it?
Do we really know?
Well, yeah, because there's no moose here.
Oh, right.
And there's a 99.9% chance it wasn't an elk.
True.
Because why? That time of the year the elk
don't have horns.
Don't have horns.
So that only leaves one thing.
Well, at least two things. It could be a person. It could be a person back here pretending to be a Bigfoot, smashing trees, just trying to scare us away from their favorite fishing lake, but I kind of doubt that because it's a long ways in here. So, don't know. But there was something. Maybe we'll see those bones on the tree in here too. That'd be fun, eh? I'm up for anything, she says. Careful what you wish for when you're with me. As long as she's with outlaw country, she says. Well, we got our second game camera picked up. I haven't looked at them because it's raining pretty good. And if I put my glasses on right now, I won't be able to see nothing. So I'm going to take the cameras down and take them back to the cabin, check them all out, see what's on there, and then probably reload them with a, well, I could just put the photos or video onto my, there's a good pile of bear shit. Probably doesn't taste like lobster. I could put the videos onto my computer or whatever and then just use the same SD cards and I'll bring them back out. This is what?
This is my kind of hiking.
So you're kind of hiking? Wide open?
Wide open, no ground.
No chance of getting ambushed? Hey?
Should have worn my slippers.
Should have worn your snorkel gear from Maui. Neither one of us was really expecting this. I don't know why. We should. We know better. We live in a rainforest. All right, so quite some time ago, I was hiking in here, and that there is the tree up the cliff where the bones were propped up into the tree. And Mrs. Outlaw and I just came in, and there's one bone. There's one bone there, and they're down out of the tree now, so I'm gonna touch them. Do you want to take the camera for a sec? And I'm just gonna grab the other bone. It's on, it's filming. So the other bone is way over here. Okay, so there's the two bones that were in the tree up there. And anybody that knows anything about like wolves, predators, if they took these bones, they would have taken them and chewed them up. So I'm thinking maybe a rock might have fallen or something and knocked these bones, but that one's a long ways away. That one's 20 feet away. But these bones were in the tree like that. I probably can't even make, they were propped up in the tree like that. That's how I saw them. And then there was two smaller bones lying down on the rocks here. But they're gone. So we're gonna just leave these bones here because I don't know what they are. If anybody watching knows what those could be, let me know. Somebody responded or commented a long time ago saying they're not human bones, which is good. That would be fucking terrible. Pardon my language. But anyways, I'd say they're a leg bone. My guess is they're a leg bone of an animal. But upper leg bone, two of them. They look almost identical. They're identical. They're identical. What do you think?
An elk?
An elk? Let's go with a big elk. How they got 12 feet up into that tree on the cliff, I don't know. Okay, so let's say the elk came to the edge of the cliff up there and jumped and snagged himself up in that tree and died, but there's no other bones to be had anywhere.
No.
But let's go with that because the other scenario might not be so good. bizarre.
Weird, like
Where's the rest of the bones? Like there was, when I was here that time, there was 4 bones. There was those 2 and 2 more small ones. People can look back on the video, and you want to see that video, look back on my videos. I forget which one it is. I might be able to find out. But you know what? You guys can watch them too, and you'll find the video. But it was pretty bizarre. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Outlaw Country. As you can see, I'm doing a video today for you guys from the shop. In front of my wall of memories here, because Mrs. Outlaw and I took off for a few days, and we did some pretty intensive hikes. We hiked up into my lake, my special little trout fishing lake, and put a lot of miles on, and I don't know what's going on, if it's something with my boot. I wear the same boot all the time, or what it is, or maybe if my orthotics are buggered up or whatever, but my left foot swelled up like crazy on the bottom of my foot, the ball of my foot. So it's all swollen and sore as heck. I can barely walk. And so I got to take a couple of days off, rest it up. But I didn't want to miss a day of getting some emails out to you guys because, as I said, they keep pouring in. So you're going to have to bear with me. A little bit of footage from when Mrs. Outlaw and I hiked up into the bush there. And I've got some pretty cool stuff to share with you guys. And we're going to get a couple of emails read out. And I'm hoping that a couple of days of rest, stay off my feet, and hopefully the swelling goes down, my foot feels better, and I can get back out in a couple of days for a good hike. So that's kind of the plan. So I'm sorry there's not a ton of beautiful scenery for you guys to see on this one. But what did I want to discuss? I wanted to let everybody know that what is it now? Probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It was just before I left for my holiday. I had a conversation with Kathy. And for anybody that doesn't know, you're new to the channel, Kathy's a off-grid homesteader, her and her husband Gord. And they've got quite a significant chunk of property, and they're very remote. And they've had run-ins with the Bigfoot people many times over the past quite a few years, and right on their property. I'm not going to go into great detail about all of their experiences, but they've had quite a few run-ins. Kathy was the first one that ran into 3 of them, and then her and her husband Gord saw them on the property several times since then, quite a few times since then. They lost some livestock to them. They lost several goats to these people. And anyways, Kathy was reaching out, I've talked to her several times. Talked to her just before I went away on holidays. And she's like, I don't know what to do. And I mentioned all the things that you people mentioned in the comments, infrared cameras, motion detection, just all the usual stuff. And I mentioned all that stuff to her, and she's like, we've got cameras up, we've tried those, but we'll maybe try some different ones or whatever. So anyhow, I was talking to a friend of mine, First Nations gentleman, and that I've known for a long, long time, and he mentioned that he was told many, many years ago with these people to spread gunpowder around the area that you don't want them to come into. So if they're bothering you around your house or your camp or whatever, to spread gunpowder on the ground. I'd never heard of that before. And he says, oh yeah, no, I've been told that many times, and I've never had to do it, but he goes, I've heard it works really well, and so on and so forth. So now I do know with wild animals, grizzly bears, cougars, black bears, with wild animals, if you've harvested an animal, they say, and I've done it myself, to leave a spent casing, so a shell, a rifle shell that you've shot, leave that spent casing or several of them around the animal or on top of the animal if you need to leave it in the bush for the night, because the animals will smell the gunpowder and they will not come around. And I've done that, and it does work with other predators. So when my buddy told me about this, I was like, anything's worth a shot, right? So I mentioned it to Kathy. I said, listen, I've never tested this, obviously. And I told her, I said, I'm not by no means any kind of an expert, but I said, here's something that I was told. You might want to give it a try. To get some gunpowder, you can buy it at a lot of sporting goods shops for people that reload their own ammunition. And I said, get a small tin of gunpowder and maybe spread it around your little barn where your goats were. And so she said, yeah, you know what, I'll give it a shot. Why not, right? Got nothing to lose. So I don't know if it's coincidence or what, but I told Kathy about that, and they did that, and they have had no troubles for like 3 weeks now. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to continue or whatever. Doesn't necessarily mean that the gunpowder did anything. But she hasn't had any issues for over 3 weeks now. Now, she said she's going to leave things for maybe another couple of weeks. And they have no goats left at the barn. They took their remaining goats to a friend's house property just because of the issues they were having. They didn't want to lose any more goats. They're like pets to them. So she said they're going to give it a couple more weeks maybe, and then they might bring a goat back and reintroduce it, which they've now done. So they've had a goat now back in the barn, and I haven't seen the barn or nothing, but from how Kathy explains it, it's a fairly small barn, and it's only got barn doors, like two front opening doors at the front, and that's it. And it's got a few windows in it and whatnot, and they keep some of their tack in there and stuff. And the goats have a door that they can go out, small door, kind of like a pet door or whatever, that they can go out into the pasture area and then come into the barn to go to sleep. And that's what they do. So anyways, long story short, no issues now with 2 goats there for like a week. So, who knows? Are we on to something? Could be. She's pretty excited about that. She's not going to be buying any more goats. They're going to give it a little bit of time. So anyways, I just wanted to give you guys an update on that. Kathy and Gord's situation. Super nice people. And I'm going to definitely keep in touch with her, trying to maybe look at if we can do a live chat with her, but she's pretty reluctant. They're very private people, which is odd because they shared their story with us, right? But she said we're pretty private people, and we really don't want, people to see us on YouTube or whatever, and they're a little bit worried about what that could create. So fair enough. I've never pushed it. Never have pushed people to come on here with me to do live video calls or whatever. I never pushed it, and I never will. Another update: our friend Eric Nelson. Eric's a longtime subscriber, and Eric and I did a video chat quite some time ago. He was the very first person that I did a video call with, and we had real technical issues, kind of like Fred and I did, but even worse. We couldn't get it to work properly. And Eric had an experience in California many, many years ago. Eric's a lifetime logger, faller, worked in the bush his whole life, and he had an encounter with these people many years ago in California. And when I was away on holidays, Eric reached out to me and said, hey man, you're not going to believe this. I had a sighting yesterday morning at like early in the morning, 5 a.m., 4 a.m., whatever it was, on my way into work. And he goes, this thing ran across the road or down the road or whatever. I can't remember exactly what he said. And he said it was incredible how fast this thing was and how big it was and so on and so forth. I'm not going to ruin it for you guys because Eric and I are going to get together and do a video call probably in the next week. And I will have a really good chat with Eric. I want to talk about all of his experiences. Eric's also the one that sent in the footage, which I sent to you guys, that was at his house, out in the forest behind his house, and there was some kind of a light orb whatever we want to call it. And Eric sent that to me and I posted on a video for you guys. So you might want to check that out possibly as well. But Eric and I are going to have a video call here soon. And I'm gonna get that out for you guys. I want to have a chat with him and see what he saw, see if what he can tell us about what he saw, many years ago. I believe it was something like 30 years ago or somewhere around there, his first encounter with these people. And then one just recently here, 3 weeks ago. So, going to get in touch with Eric Nelson. Okay, and many other people. I've got a growing list. I got a growing list of people that I need to talk to, and I will. I'm a little busy right now. I got a lot on the go and having a little bit of trouble balancing everything, but we'll get there. Okay, I think I got my emails back in order now, but I don't know. I'm not a super tech guy, so I struggle sort of with certain things. And when I get emails, I try to categorize them in different folders and whatnot in my email app. And what I do is I'll take maybe 6 emails, just copy them and paste them to my notes. That way when I'm out in the bush on my hikes and I don't have cell service, I don't need cell service. I can just go to my notes and read the entire email from there. And I've screwed a few up. But anyways, it is what it is. So here is our next one on the list. Hello, Darren. I hope you had a great Christmas break with your family and wish you all the best in the new year. I've had a couple first-hand close encounters with the Sasquatch people over the past 30 years. And my last run-in with one was just this last fall at the end of the mule deer season. I spent a great deal of time hunting elk and mule deer. And I've seen the Sasquatch once while working, driving a logging truck, and twice on hunting trips. The first creature I saw was many years ago in late October. We were hauling huge cedar to a log sort down on the ocean. It was early morning, my first load of the day, and as I started down the second switchback away from the landing, I caught something out of the corner of my eye at the top of the bank to my left. These big off-highway trucks I drive don't stop easily, as we're packing a lot of weight and wood. As I glanced up the bank, this massive being came out of the timber, ran down the bank, almost hitting my truck right in front of the driver's fender. I didn't even have time to react, take my foot off the gas and onto the brake. It was so fast. As this Sasquatch got to the driver's side fender, I got a real good look at its face, and this thing looked pissed off. To give you an idea of the size of this creature, as it passed directly in front of my truck, I could see the top of its head. We're talking 10 feet tall, man. It very much resembled a human being, a man. Had the typical cone-shaped head, completely covered in hair, large eyes, large flat nose, big mouth, very dark in color. As this thing passed in front of my truck, I heard a loud bang and watched it go across the road to the other side and into the timber on the left side of the road, gone. I never stopped for 40 minutes until I got to the dump site down at the ocean. I dumped the load, pulled ahead, and then pulled over, got out of the way to check the truck all over. As I walked to the front of the truck, I saw the passenger side fender was dented badly. These old trucks still have metal fenders, not fiberglass, so it was just a massive dent. The grill was cracked as well. The dent was about the size of a basketball. Later that night at dinner, I told the loader operator and the other 3 drivers what I'd seen. The loader operator was an old-timer, and he'd been in that camp for 5 years. and with the company for 30 years. He said, "Oh yeah, he's a big son of a bitch, that one. Lucky he didn't do more damage to your truck." I asked Pete if he'd seen this thing before, and he said, "Oh yeah, twice in the past 5 years." He said they've seen his tracks down near camp when they first come in at the beginning of the year. Pete said the natives from around the area have many stories about them as well. So, 2 years ago, my son and I were mule deer hunting in late November, and we had a huge Sasquatch outside of our wall tent in the middle of the night. Scott and I woke up to a moaning sound that gradually got louder and louder in the distance, and it was moving closer. I had no idea what it was, and neither did Scott. Scott's 30 years old and a very seasoned outdoorsman. He was a hunting guide for almost 10 years, so he knew the wilderness and the animals well. We both laid in our cots for a minute listening to this moaning sound, and then I spoke. I said, "What the fuck do you think that is?" As soon as I said this thing screamed like a bear and a lion mixed, and it was close to our tent. Scotty grabbed his rifle, and so did I. We stood up inside the tent and slowly made our way to the door. We opened the tent door, and Scott turned on his big spotlight and started shining it around. All of a sudden, about 40 feet from our tent, the light hits this huge Sasquatch staring right at us. This thing, again, was 8 to 9 feet tall, and I would guesstimate all of 1,000 pounds. I raised my rifle strictly out of habit, and as soon as I did that, this damn thing screamed and took off to our right into the darkness. We heard it running and then stop and snap a couple trees and one final scream before it went silent. Now I'm here to tell you, man, Scotty and I are both tough dudes and experienced hunters. But we were both shaking in our boots after this shit went down. Needless to say, we didn't sleep the rest of the night. We stayed up, had a rum and coke, and waited for daylight, talking about these creatures. We went out the next morning and found the trees this thing broke. There was 2 pines, 16 to 18 feet tall, and both were broke off about 12 feet up. We decided to end our trip short, pack up before this thing came back. On the way home, Scotty said it's about time he finally sees one of these creatures with the amount of time he spent in the woods. He knew about the one I saw when I was working, and he's heard a few other stories from people in the past. But this was his first and only sighting. We both feel that this is only the beginning, and that now there's going to be more to come. I don't care how big and tough people think they are, man. When you see one of these fuckers, you feel like a little boy staring at the boogeyman in your bedroom closet. These things are huge, intimidating to say the least. Anyhow, keep up the great work, Darren. We all love outlaw country and everything you stand for. Later, man. Cody Edmondson. Well, thank you, Cody. And Scott, thanks for sharing that with us all. Appreciate it. I don't know where you're from. I don't think you said where you're from, Cody. I will respond to you. And maybe we can sit down and have a chat together as well. I love talking to people that spend a lot of time in the outdoors. Loggers, wildfire firefighters, game wardens, people that spend a lot of time in the outdoors just because, sounds like it sounds like you, I don't know how old you are, but your son's 30 or was 30 or whatever. So, you know, it sounds like you spent a lot of time out in the woods, and so has your son. And you've only, I mean, you know, some people spend their entire lives out in the woods and never see these things. Why all of a sudden do you see one? Don't know. But I want to get together and have a chat with you, so I'll email you back. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And you know what? Just every experience that we can listen to is just gonna help us all, right? All right. Next one. This must be a recent one. I don't know what's going on, guys. Don't get mad at me, people that have sent in emails a long time ago. I don't know. They did get mixed up. Anyhow, hi Darren. I just listened to your reading of the man whose son was snatched by the hairy man, but found him. A father's nightmare. It's pretty amazing the hairy man thought the kid might want to go live with him. Almost as if the being thought he was offering him a better way of life. Sort of brings to mind the children taken by the American Indians when the Europeans started settling the western U.S., and vice versa when the Indian children were taken to be so-called civilized by the white man. I can see that each culture thought they were doing the children a favor because from each culture's point of view, they were saving them. My name is David and I live in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains in western North Carolina, the Smoky Mountains. Love your channel. Please don't go all Hollywood on us like others have on this subject. I don't think you will. My story started on April 1st, 2019 at 4:30 a.m. when I took my two dogs out, as I always did as soon as I got up. That's April Fool's Day here in the U.S. Don't know about Canada. I always walked out with them in case coyotes were around. Back then, we had lots of them. From a couple hundred yards away above my home in the woods, I heard as clear as could be a series of 4 or 5 second long whoop calls. I believe 5 times in a row. At that time, all I could say was, what in the hell was that? I didn't know hardly anything about these beings back then. It was an animal in the great Northwest Territories, if it existed at all, and I never connected it at that instant. It crossed my mind that someone was pulling an April Fool's joke, making those sounds, but who in the heck would be in the woods at 4:30 and making yells that really sounded too big and loud for a human to do? About 2 weeks later, again, me and the dogs went out so I could put a couple tools in my truck, but it was full light outside this time. I was standing on top of a cross tie retaining wall, sort of enjoying the morning, watching the dogs, when not 30 yards across the creek came 2 loud and deep grunts. I spoke out loud. Now what in the hell was that? This was becoming my favorite saying. Then it double grunted exactly the same again, like it was answering me or something. The woods were greening up, but I heard something start walking, and through an open place, I seen a large patch of brownish red shoulder and back area of some animal clearly walking away on 2 feet following an old logging road. And it headed up the hill and out of hearing. Now I've lived and hunted these woods since my family moved onto another part of this land when I was 13 years old. I've never heard or seen anything out of the normal, even once. I'd walk miles without a light before daylight to get to my hunting stand and never gave any danger a thought until now. So I started searching the internet, which led me to Bigfoot YouTube channels, specifically Sasquatch Chronicles, where I listened to people's recordings and found the whoop sound exactly. Some of their encounters were terrifying, but not all. And they were located everywhere in the US and Canada. So I decided I had these beings moved in around my home, and that's when I really started listening to my surroundings. I've heard most every sound here that I've heard on recordings. Sometimes a little different, but still it's them, no doubt in my mind. I've heard a female higher pitched whoop in distress, almost wailing, because the wind had blown in gusts almost all day at close to 50 miles per hour, and she sounded so distraught when she whooped. I once heard what is called the lion's roar for 45 minutes straight. It was roaring at some dogs that must have been inside a fence or chained because there was no chase. They or the booger never changed direction by my hearing. It was like the being was messing with them. They would bark and he would roar. Honestly, a normal-sized lion probably would have pissed itself if this thing was roaring at him. It had great lung capacity to make that sound. Another time after I started legally baiting for deer in my yard, I shot a really big 8-point. Just as I walked up to the deer about 100 yards from my house, I started getting screamed at very loudly from the direction the deer had come. Well, it was my meat and I meant to have it. And I wasn't violating our agreement I laid out. So I gutted my deer, then tied his head to the back of my mower and drug him to the house. All while this thing was screaming at me. It wasn't whooping or roaring, it was screaming. Next day, while gathering from my garden, it started breaking trees and raising hell even closer than the day before. I put my dogs inside, grabbed my Browning 3-inch Magnum full of slugs, and went to talk. At this point, I had convinced myself I was dealing with a juvenile or one passing through that was mad because I got the meat and they didn't. So again, I spoke out loud and told them they were too close to my home and I'd shoot if I seen them. I told them to leave and speak to the one who was the head guy in here because we left each other alone. It stopped what it was doing and left, I guess. Never heard it again. I had heard several people invoking the name of Christ for these things to leave them alone. So one quite early morning, I used my knowledge from studying these things online and went out to talk to them in the woods. Not face to face, of course, just me talking out loud. I ordered them to stay away from my house, never come within sight or do me or my animals any harm, and did it in Christ's name. I explained that I meant them no harm, but if they crossed this line, it would be war. I explained I was a very skillful hunter and had the tools to take anything or any animal down. I also said I would stay out of the woods during the dark hours, but the daylight would be mine. That we could live in peace and there was no need for any harm to come to any of us. I also denied them permission to ever mind speak to me or try to read my thoughts. They have always honored this, and so have I. They have been good neighbors, cleaning out almost all the coyotes and most of the black bear, which were overpopulated here also. I do not interact with them. I do not want to even if I could. It's a live and let live situation, and I live without fear, which I cannot say for others that live around this area who have seen them out in the open and lots have heard them. I can only imagine if those people were home when the lion roar was going on outside their house. They were most likely crawled under their beds while that was happening. Well, Darren, that's certainly not everything that's gone on here, but it's the highlights of my experiences so far. It's still ongoing. I know this isn't a very exciting run for your life kind of experience, but it's true and lots more I didn't speak on. I did not include my last name because out of respect for my hairy neighbors, I don't want anyone tracking me down and bothering them. You have my email. Let me know if there's any question about anything otherwise. You and Mrs. Outlaw have a blessed day. David in North Carolina. Wow. Holy cow. David. Holy shit, a ton of information of that one. Wouldn't you say? Unbelievable. The roar, the whoops, the trees breaking, like all just classic stuff. You know what I mean? All classic stuff. You know, just recently on a couple, I mean, it's happened to me so many times on my videos. Not a ton, but you know, a handful of times. But I haven't heard them clearly. Sometimes I have, sometimes I haven't. But the mic picks it up. Because often I'm down by a creek or whatever. But those whoops, those bangs, the roars, I've heard it all. David, I know exactly where you're coming from. Good for you for going out and standing your ground and telling these beings how it's going to be. Good for you. I've never actually done that. I have gone out, when I've been out in the bush, I have gone out and gone, okay, you know what? I'm just here to hunt today, or I'm just out fishing today. You know, I don't want any bullshit. Usually that's just kind of how I say it. Like, I don't want any bullshit because I don't. Okay. Wow, man, there's a ton in there. I appreciate you sending that in, David. I am definitely going to get back to you here. And I'd love to get you on here as well and hear a little bit more from you. Obviously, you said there's some stuff you haven't shared with us. And it's always better hearing it right from the horse's mouth. Sorry, my camera's flashing something at me and I can't see. It's early in the morning. Okay, David, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. I'm going to get a hold of you. We're going to have a chat. Maybe I can get you on video. Maybe not, because you said you didn't want people to know who you are or where you are. But we'll see what we can do. Appreciate it. And I've had a lot of people comment to me, and quite a few people email me saying they want me to do just one segment or one video on just what's happened to me over the course of my lifetime. And I have mentioned quite a bit of stuff, little bits here and there in many different videos. I've refrained really from saying too much about myself and my experiences because this topic was never about me. It was about that first email that came in. So, but you guys have asked, so I will do that. I will. I don't know when, but here very shortly, I will go through everything. Going back 35 years or more for me, and 35 years for me, and really only like 3 or 4 real significant events that have taken place. It's not very much, right? With the amount of time I spend out in the bush, I spent months a year out hunting and fishing, and now I don't know how much I spend now, but I spend a lot of time. And like I say, it doesn't happen all the time. You go into areas where these people live, or where these people are, or and shit's gonna happen. You're gonna hear tree knocks. You're gonna hear whatever. You're gonna hear hollers or moaning, whatever sounds they make. You spend enough time in the areas where they are, and it's bound to happen at some point in time. So anyhow, I'm gonna rock and roll here and just tinker around the shop here a little bit. Try to stay off the foot as much as I can, but I can't sit anymore. So hopefully my foot's feeling better here in a few days, and I can get out for a nice hike. And maybe I'll take the opportunity there to explain to you guys and tell everybody what's happened to me over all the years. And one more quick shout out to all you members at Outlaw Country. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you very much. We do have a couple of giveaways coming up, and Mrs. Outlaw just did a fresh batch of Outlaw Country coffee mugs, and I'm going to probably give 2 or 3 coffee mugs away to you members. I really appreciate everybody's support. You do not need to be a member. You know, subscribers mean just as much to me. I appreciate you all the same. Thank you so much for your support. And but I want to do something special for those people that have signed up to the memberships, and start giving some more stuff away to you guys. We also have we do have the giveaway coming up soon for the Acaso Seymour night vision goggles, to open to everybody, and then we have a couple things for the members only. All right, I think that's it. I'm going to go because I can't sit in this chair any longer. Thank you guys for your support. Be good, be safe, be kind, be a good person. You know what? If you're in line to buy a coffee at the Starbucks or wherever it is you drink your coffee from, and you see somebody in front of you, buy them a coffee. Buy the person behind you a coffee. Just do something nice. Does make you feel good. Okay, thanks everyone. I am going to get my arson gear, get some stuff done. Okay, and we'll see you guys in the next one.